Bitcoin will literally change your life. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys exactly why Bitcoin is going to be the one decision and the one investment that genuinely changes your life forever. Now guys, this is the Bitcoin to 1 million channel where I basically document and showcase exactly why Bitcoin is going to get to $1 million per coin. We go over things like news articles, we go over things like people that are buying, whether it's countries, corporations, or companies, and we also go over things like price predictions and just typical price movement. So we're usually start off the video with the price and then we get into the main meat and potatoes. So if you guys do like this type of content, make sure you guys subscribe down below. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers this year. If I could do that, that would be amazing, and I would love to continue to make these videos for you guys as long as I can. Now, with that being said, Bitcoin today is at 90, actually no, I think we're at 92, yeah, we're at 92,000 today. We're up 2% in the past 24 hours, which is pretty freaking cool to see. Oh, we're actually at 93,000. Holy smokes, guys. It's, a very late Christmas miracle, if you want to call it that. So let's talk about it, guys. Bitcoin, a lot of people, they buy Bitcoin because they think it's going to go up in value. But what a lot of people don't realize is people that are buying Bitcoin are also trying to separate themselves from the traditional financial system, right? When you have currency, and I mean, in front of me I have a Canadian dollar here. I think I also have pounds here somewhere, but anyways, I have 50 Canadian dollars, right? This can be printed on demand. Whenever people want to go ahead and make more money, the governments can go ahead and do that, and that's pretty much with every single currency. So the reason that this is an issue is because of something called inflation, and this isn't an economics class, but what I will say is inflation is basically when the government continues to print a stupid amount of money, and eventually the prices of everything just goes up, right? Now there's also other factors for inflation, but that's just a very simplified version of it. Okay, now with that being said, everyone's traditional life, and the reason I say traditional is because everyone's life is pretty simple, right? Or at least it's been cookie cutter for the longest time. You know, you study for 20 years, right? You wake up, obviously you're born, you're brought into this beautiful world, and you go to school, you're 20, you're 18, you start your undergrad usually, and at 22, you usually finish your undergrad. Some people go on to do longer schooling, right? Some people study for another 10 years or another 5 years, again, depending on what you want to do. Then you work for 40 years. You're free for 5 to 10 years when you're like 65 years old or 67 years old, and then you literally just wrinkle and wither away. I mean, guys, that is a scam. That does not sound like the life that I want to live. That does not sound like the life anyone deserves to live. That just sounds like, I mean, dare I say, modern slavery, right? Now, what is also happening while, we're being scammed and put into this like loophole of life, the rat race, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, is this right here. And this is a very important one. A lot of people think that, Bitcoin is just going up in value, right? Bitcoin, like I said today, went from $91,000 to $93,000. And yes, that is true. But when you actually take a look at Bitcoin's all-time chart, you realize that Bitcoin isn't just going up in value. In fact, what's really happening is the dollar is being able to purchase less Bitcoin right now, and I'll explain. So again, what people think is happening is this right here, but what's really happening is Bitcoin is just being more valued when it comes to the comparison to the dollar, right? So for example, the best way I can describe this is when you were able, and again, depending on how old you are, if you were to do your groceries, let's call it 10 years ago, you're having a pretty full cart with, let's call it $150, $200, right? As opposed to now, you're maybe doing like 2 weeks worth of groceries, right? Like I remember being able to go to the grocery store back in the day. And by no means am I, in my 40s or anything, but, even just simple things, like just buying certain things. I remember, like, you'd go to the store and walk out with just look at candy bars, right? If you're from the UK, like a Freddo, it used to be, I think it was, like 5p or 5 pence or something. Now it's like 33 pence, which is like, what the hell? And just simple things like that. Money just, is losing its value. And Bitcoin fixes this, right? Bitcoin cannot be printed. You cannot print Bitcoin. It's impossible, right? You can't make more Bitcoin. There is only 21 million Bitcoin out there, which is why there is a race to get as much Bitcoin as possible. And I'm not even just making this up. I mean, this week was insanely bullish, right? Strategy, they bought 1,229 Bitcoin worth 108 million, right? Now that's 1,229 Bitcoin that is going to be taken out of circulation. And people don't understand, guys, like there's not enough Bitcoin for everyone, right? Like there isn't. I mean, everyone that thinks there is, there's not. And guys, like to really, prove this to you guys, to keep in mind, 40,500 Bitcoin will be mined in Q1 2026, right? So there is 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence, and there is still some Bitcoin that needs to be mined. Now keep in track of the following entities accumulating Bitcoin this quarter: Strategy, Tether, Metaplanet, IBIT, and other Bitcoin ETFs. So again, 40,000 Bitcoin that is going to be mined in Q1, when realistically, we're probably going to have more people buy Bitcoin than there is Bitcoin being mined. Now, with that being said, the past week as well, Metaplanet also bought 4,279 Bitcoin, and Tether bought 8,888 Bitcoin in Q4. So again, guys, when you really put all this into account, the supply shock is coming, guys. I mean, this is just basic economics, right? Like, you know, supply goes down and demand goes up, right? Or supply is stagnant forever and demand goes up. What do you think is going to happen to the price? Well, obviously it goes up. And again, this is why Bitcoin changes everyone's life, guys. I've been saying multiple times, it's not about getting to one whole Bitcoin right away. Start off by just dollar cost averaging, right? Let's just say you make, let's just call it $5,000 a month. And out of that, you're able to save and invest, let's call it $500, right? Start buying $500 of Bitcoin every single month. Again, not financial advice, but if this is just how you want to simplify it, feel free to do that. If you are an avid investor and you understand you have a pretty big portfolio, start buying as much Bitcoin as you can, right? Remember, guys, people look at one Bitcoin and it looks scary because $93,000, like that's money that people don't have, right? But what happens if you put a decimal place above it, or sorry, before it, right? Oh wait, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, right there. So boom, now it's $9,000. And again, maybe that's a bit too much for people too. Okay, that's fine. What if you put a decimal point and then add a zero, right? Now it's $931. So again, $931, a lot more doable. And I'm pretty sure people, if you really wanted to really just, you know, properly like just be frugal or whatever, go to your closet, sell a bunch of shit, and just buy as much Bitcoin as you possibly can, guys. Because I'm telling you, there will be a time where Bitcoin hits $1 million. And there will be a time where Bitcoin is so scarce and it's impossible to buy that people are going to be like, damn, like, I wish I bought earlier. Now, some more news before I end off the video, guys, is Michael Saylor posts the Saylor Bitcoin tracker again, hinting at buying more Bitcoin. So Saylor on Mondays usually announces that they buy more Bitcoin. So that's going to be pretty huge. And finally, guys, billionaire Jack Dorsey says Bitcoin will be worth more than $1 million by 2030. Now, listen, I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm just a regular dude, right? With that being said, guys, you guys can literally just look at other people. These geniuses, billionaires, multi-billionaires are talking about Bitcoin hitting $1 million. Now, me personally, I don't know if it will happen in 2030 because that's already in 4 years, 5 years, but will it happen in the next 10 years? I think it's definitely possible. Listen, guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, I want you guys to leave a like, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another Bitcoin video.